Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. Whew, wow, what a day. I believe it's time to knock off though, because I got to get up bright and early tomorrow for my vitamin C mega dose IV. I'll leave the house at 6:30, get there by 8, and then depending on the traffic, and then get my IV. These IVs are extremely helpful for this cancer problem. The fatigue that was just brutalizing me for 2 months is gone, and it's not gone. No way is it gone, but it's a lot better. But in any case, I went. It was a mistake. It wasn't, well, maybe I just didn't keep my eyes open and observe enough, because I was reading up about how vitamin C isn't really vitamin C unless it's natural, right? Otherwise, it's just straight ascorbic acid. But whatever it is, it sure does the trick. But when I attempted to switch to natural foods and supplements without ascorbic acid and just with natural vitamin C, I crashed and burned. Basically, I just became so terribly fatigued, and when I'd like drink a little coffee or something, I would get really, really cold and extremely tired, and I couldn't do anything for the rest of the day. And if I was smart, I would have observed the experiment, and with like, a magnifying glass. And when I started having all of these negative side effects or effects of not taking the ascorbic acid IVs and pills, then basically that's on me. And for 2 months, because I was going to do it for 2 months and then get another CEA test, man, that just went out the window. I became so lethargic and so unable to even reason sometimes that I couldn't even see my own mistake. So when the time rolled around for the experiment to end, I reactivated my vitamin C IVs, started taking the ascorbic acid pills again, and and then I started improving, So basically, for anybody who has cancer out there, my findings for this experiment are that it is not something you want to do. Just keep on the vitamin C megadose IVs and keep on taking the pills, and more natural vitamin C rich things like peppers and those supplements of the cherries that I was taking are better. I mean, it's better if you have them both, right? So I've developed a liking for red peppers over the period of time. So I guess I've accomplished something. So basically, now over the last few weeks of getting the IVs, my energy levels are coming back up. My ability to reason clearly has improved, and now now I'm on to the next experiment, which is the hyperthermia experiment. A lot of rebel organizations that study cancer maintain that if you raise your blood temperature up to 106, cancer cells start popping like little balloons, right? And it might take me a little while to work up to that, but basically that's what I plan to do. So my hot tub arrived, and the max temperature for the hot tub is 108, but who knows if that's true or not. So I bought a bucket water heater, right? That you can like put in a bucket, but you can put it in a hot tub too, and a separate unit that has temperature sensors, and you can plug the bucket unit into that, and then plug the hot tub in, and then even if the water's cold, you'll bring it up like way faster. And if I remember right, this workshop has two circuits for the electrical outlets on the walls. But if not, I'll run a heavy duty extension cord over to the house, because I can see that there's a plug that was installed, and it's more recent than the manufacturer of the house, and it clearly is with sufficiently thick wire to handle the full 30 amps, right? Actually, the full 15 amps, I think. Well, I can't remember what it is, 18, something like that. But it'll be enough to run anything that has a regular plug on it. And then I'll be able to have them both plugged in, and then double heating, and then it'll heat twice as fast. A lot of people say that it takes like 3 days to heat up the water in these hot tubs, but basically with my arrangement, I should be able to heat it up in a day. So because basically when you're heating, right, you also lose heat out of the walls of the thing or through the floor or something like that, and then basically that causes loss, right? But if you heat it up faster, only 2 days or so, all of that loss is gone. So it could be, well, they say it takes 3 days. It could only take a day to reach the full 108 that I want. But I don't think I'll start out at 108. I think I'll start out at like 104 or something like that, and then make sure I'm fully alert all through it, and then increase it by 1 degree every day until I'm at 106. And my goal is to stay at 106 degrees for about a half hour or so. I'll have to bring some water, and then basically I'll be killing cancer in multiple different ways. So I've got all the regular things like curcumin and vitamin C, and I've got and I've also got the fenbendazole plus the megadose of vitamin D, and then I've got the new way that I've discovered to take modified citrus pectin without gagging. And then I'm tacking on the end, I'm tacking on the hyperthermia. So basically, that's the plan. And then in a month or so, I'll go in for another CEA test, see what's what. So, so basically, I just cleared a little. Let me see if I can get up. I cleared a little spot here in the workshop, and this will be where I install it. Then I'll plug it in right there, and then over here somewhere I'll have the secondary plug for the auxiliary heater, which will help me get it up to temperature. So let's see. I managed to drag these out of the house. I am not strong enough to lift them, and so I managed to use the hand truck with a little creativity, and I basically got it all down here. Now tomorrow, after the IV, if I'm feeling well enough, I will start unboxing everything, and then basically start the install or the assembly. Speaking of not strong enough, another embarrassing thing is the steel combi air blower. I used that to blow out the workshop earlier. I am no longer strong enough, or my right arm isn't strong enough to even pull the cord all the way on this 2-cycle engine, this little tiny 2-cycle engine. So, but when you don't have sufficient strength, you use creativity. So I just took it and braced it up against that little thing there with my foot, and used both arms, and then it started on the first pull. So good times there. I'm glad I didn't have to struggle with it. So that's the deal. And now I'd like to tell a pathetic story of a user sociopath woman. Basically, I have an older sister. Now, I don't know, I think I've told this story before, but basically she, in like 6th grade, she was selfish, really selfish. Then in 7th grade, she went off to middle school and got into drugs and the cool crowd, because she always had an extremely high SMV. And during that time, during middle school, she went from being selfish but human to being so self-centered that I would consider her pretty darn close to being insane. And basically she was a pain to live with and everything. And I think she did give me sort of a little bit of an experience of how bad women can get. So anyway, then I took off to the Army, came back after Iraq, and then got set up and started diesel school, and that was really my element, man. I was like a fish in water that had been dying in the desert all his life. I had no idea I was a mechanic, because my dad sure as heck isn't. And but then when I was in Saudi Arabia and back in the regular, at garrison, I bought a car that was all fucked up, and I bought a manual for it, and I just sat there and read the manual, even the parts that didn't really apply to my car. And then I was able to change the timing belt, and then I tried to upgrade the transmission, but it was just too long. I had to pull it back out and put the old one back in, because it was just a 4-speed. And I just started learning just a lot, and I had more tools than the actual Army mechanics had. And and the cool thing was, well, then we went off to Saudi Arabia, and to preserve my sanity, I was building all kinds of things like racks for our M16s, and I built a sink where we could, have running water to some degree, and I built sort of a place where you could take a leak, and without having to walk 10 miles out. And basically, I was just, I found a way to hook into a piece of equipment that looked like nothing, and people were telling me it was part of the air conditioning system. But I went a little bit farther and taking it apart, and I found that it was a motor generator, which is the predecessor to an inverter, which is what we use these days. But it was just a motor on one side and a 120 volt generator on the other. So suddenly, once I managed to patch into it properly, I hung a power strip on the front of our vehicle, and suddenly we had power, and nobody else did, except the commander with his generator, which he mistreated horridly. And then basically he threw the generator into the trash. I dug it out and fixed it, and then he took it back. He was a real shitbag. Anyway, once I got out of the Army, and I realized, man, there in the Army while I was doing that, I realized that, man, why am I wasting my life here? I could make like 3 times what I'm making here as a diesel mechanic. So I reset my. Actually, no, I wanted to be a mechanic, but then, once I got home, I was hanging out with Dad, and Dad was saying, you should really look at being a diesel mechanic instead of a regular mechanic. And I said, whoa, what an idea. And I saw that the pay was better, the working conditions were better. It wasn't flat rate. It was almost all hourly. You just go in, punch in, go to work. At the end of the day, you punch out and go home, and you don't worry about anything. And then, so I did. And but in any case, while I was in diesel school, I actually started after a year in diesel school. I got hired as a mechanic, and so that was pretty cool, But that left me a whole year of struggling to work and do a full-time job at the school, full-time diesel school, full-time work. They promised me a part-time job, but they said, no, we got too much work, we need you to stay. Anyway, during that time I was home, and I was still on speaking terms with my older sister, and I found myself over at her house, like unclogging her drain and doing some automotive work, and I basically, I figured it was just what good people do, and but she was obviously just using me, and obviously I didn't gain any credit for helping her, because I suppose she just thought that she deserved it, So then I was going to help my younger sister, the one who eventually cleared out my whole house while I was in Mexico for cancer treatment, stealing everything that wasn't nailed down, including my cancer meds. And then she and then she's off to be homeless again. And thank God for that. I mean, at least she's out of here, man. And I got her. She was basically the rental agency. Once I put my foot down saying that I will not pay another cent while Joyce is on the contract. And they somehow applied pressure and got her to sign off the contract. And then it was just me and Dad on the contract. So, but anyway, I was helping my younger sister move to Idaho. So I needed a truck, and my mom said that I could use her truck, but Kathy was borrowing it for several months. And I said, so I went over there to get it, right? And the only thing Kathy could do, oops, I shouldn't have said her name, but oh, who cares? But anyway, she basically, the only thing she could do was try to find reasons why I didn't actually want to use the truck, right? And she was giving me this whole litany of things trying to get out of it, And then I realized that that's when I realized that she was really bad news. So I basically went back home and thought about how she had treated me all her life. Not too bad when we were young, like 6th grade and such. A little bit of bullying, but not really bad. But basically, then I had to realize that she would never contribute anything positive to my life. And as long as I maintained that relationship, my time and energy and money would just be flowing one direction, and that's away from me and to benefit her, right? And I basically realized right then that I had to just ghost her, right? So I basically just stopped communicating with her, and I just went on with my life. And she called once in the last 30 years, and she said, "Hey, Benson," on the answering machine. It was about 1990 or so. "I don't want anything." Because she knows damn well that she's a sociopath and a user, and that people are wise to her now, and basically so people are less likely to associate with her. So I just let it play out and then erase the message. And now again, just fairly recently, about 2 months ago, or yeah, something like that, she tried to reestablish contact with me through Facebook. And the thing is, when I was kind of cynical, as I am, and it was pretty obvious, to me that it was just a cash grab, because when a sociopath, gold digger, user of a woman, right, wants to reestablish a familiar family type of relationship, with her multimillionaire younger brother, who she basically ghosted as well for 30 years, well, mostly 30 years, and then I mean, it was pretty obvious that she just wants to be put on the inheritance list, right? So, so I ghosted her again. Have no intention of ever interacting with that bitch, right? Uh, I mean, because it wouldn't have cost her anything to give up the truck for a couple of days, but it was a very slight price to pay. Well, I was doing this altruistically to help my younger sister move to Idaho, and she couldn't even give up the truck for a couple of days. So, it was she's obviously a complete loss as a human being. And as of course, she had multiple marriages and multiple kids from multiple different guys, and and basically, and all the guys lost a lot of money, and she gained money a little bit and then would fritter it away, right? So basically, she just was looking for another resource, which was me, and I have zero time for that. The only people who are on my inheritance list are people who have proven themselves to be friggin' awesome. Some of them weren't aware of it when I put them on the list. Others were, when I had to get an address from them, they were very gratified, and I am glad to do it if cancer takes me. But till then, I'm sitting pretty, and I'm hoping to knock this cancer out, and if I could, that would be a real accomplishment. Not many people are able to take out their cancer, especially at this level of metastasis, with unconventional means. So that is that's the plan. So that's the sordid story of my crazy sociopath older sister. So I have 3 sisters. One of them is a crazy sociopath who crashed and burned once the wings of SMV failed her, and now she's totally by herself and in a trailer park somewhere. So not my problem. And my younger sister went absolutely nuts, even though Dad and I gave her a free place to live for 7 years, and the only thing that happened was her resentments grew and grew and grew until they became hate, and the hate was focused on me because I guess she hates men, of course. I happen to be that gender, and she hates everybody who is more successful than her. So basically, she hates the world because she is just about useless in every fucking way. And it's really sad. And Dad and I tried to help her a little, but you just can't help a hopeless situation. So another point and another lesson that I learned the hard way as a forward scout for all of our MGTOW brothers, I would strongly suggest that if you have a homeless, useless younger sister who wants to stay for a few days, don't even let her in. Give her some money for a hotel and then ghost her. Because the only thing she will do is harm you, and there is no way that she will ever appreciate what you do for her. She will just take it as that she deserves it, right? And there's no gratitude. No gratitude for women, and if you expect gratitude, you're going to be disappointed. So, I would recommend keeping a good distance from even your functioning normal female relatives. And then if you like some of the relatives, just concentrate on the ones who are guys. They have honor as a general rule, and they are a lot safer to deal with than than a woman, basically. And it's sad that it has to be this way, but it is obviously this way. So the only thing you can do is just deal with it and make your plans accordingly, and ghost, basically ghost women. And I've never found a safe way to maintain a relationship with a woman who, obviously isn't your sister. And so I had to go MGTOW. I made that decision in 1994. And then I finally got sick of dating in 2009. Women in Seattle are just stuck up. Something awful. It's like you're doing a favor just being around them. So in 2009, I stopped dating, and I've been happy and relaxed ever since. And money stacked up, and wealth stacked up, and I had time to explore how the economy really works, and how to protect yourself from seizures and such. And the result is my money grew, and well, let's just say I'm over $1 million. And now, I mean, it's ironic that I have a lot of money, and yet I'm not healthy enough to enjoy it. I'm just in a death struggle with cancer, and basically it's kind of like Murphy's Law. If you think, yeah, everything's smooth sailing from now on, he'll give you some shit to deal with, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Well, I guess it's time for me to shut the workshop down and choke my cancer meds down with some kind of abbreviated little meal, because my naturopath put me back on 3 meals a day. I always preferred 1 meal a day. Well, since I started the cancer thing, but basically he said, in order to spread the meds out so that they work properly, I'm going to have to take a meal of some kind 3 times a day. And that's a pain in the ass. So I guess I better get to it. Okay, MGTOWs, that's about all I've got for you. And do not get married.